guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today I'm at Holmes Volvo Cars here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and this is the 2022 version of the Volvo XC60. First thing to notice, one of the new colors. This is pine gray metallic, new color for the 2022 model year. And other changes, you'll notice this is a B5, not a T5, but a B5. The T5 and T6 have been dropped, and now you will find the B5 and B6 in their places. There are also some little tweaks on the front end with the grille. We'll take a look at that shortly when we do our exterior tour. One of the biggest changes, the infotainment system is now using Google Assistant. And actually, I think that's pretty cool because it's a lot of fun to play with, has some really cool and unique features. Let's get started and see exactly what you can expect if this is a model you wish to buy for 2022. Okay, on this bright sunny day, you're just gonna have to take my word for it, but it has LED headlights, of course the daytime running lights. You can see I've got the blinker turned on. And a common question that people will ask is that have turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors. Hopefully you can see it is blinking right there, but there they are nonetheless. 19-inch wheels. Let's see if we can get down here and give you a good view. Now I might have lied earlier because I actually wound up taking a picture and inserting it in earlier when I said we would take a look at the slightly revised front grille later in the video. Well, we already did that. I showed a picture earlier of that, but as you can see, there is the change to the grille. And just a quick overall look to the B5 version of the Volvo XC60. And we'll just take a quick look around, kind of a panoramic tour of sorts. As you can see, there it is, B5. In case you did not believe me, that's what it is. That's how YouTube works. People often will say, that's not a B5, it's a T5. Because that's just the way YouTube correction Nazis, as I like to call them, work down in the comments section sometimes. And of course, you're gonna still have a lot of that same great exterior look. Always liked this overall design of the rear tail lights here. I don't know, that just really sets the XC60 off any of these XC models. Got the chrome trim here around the windows, on that bottom portion of the door sill down there, and the roof rails. One thing I do want to say here, this is a model that is available, as are all of the Volvo XC models, in all-wheel drive or two-wheel drive, which would be front-wheel drive. One thing I like here, being a gearhead, I like to open the hood on cars, and I like the fact that it's not hard to find the hood release. It's this yellow release right here, and I'm just going to open that up. This is why I love these struts right here. So many people don't understand why I like to have the struts on here, where you don't have to go hunting around for anything special to open the hood, and then you have to put it up with the manual rod. So now we can take a look at the 2-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder. It's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, putting out 247 horsepower. That's the engine, not the transmission, putting out those numbers. Again, trying to quiet those YouTube correction Nazis. 247 horsepower coming from the engine, and 258 pound-feet of torque. And let's just take a look here. I'll show you. I don't know how easily you can see this, but here we go. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. 23 miles per gallon city, 30 estimated out on the highway, a combined total of 26 on gas mileage. That is obviously one of the biggest advantages to the engine that's under the hood of this model. And you still have the hands-free tailgate option for 2022. Cargo space comes in at 17.8 all the way to 63.6 cubic feet. And good news for those of you who do not like the tire repair kits that are showing up in so many more vehicles these days, there is a spare tire under the floor. A little bit hard for me to show that one-handed, but let's do this. Just on one side here, I'll show you how to lower the rear seats so you can see that as we get our really first good look at the interior. We'll take a closer look here in just a second. But you still have the release right here that just makes lowering the seats so much easier. and of course very easy to put back up, and you do still have the pass-through option if you wish to take advantage of that. And now as we officially make our way into the back seat and into the interior, just to kind of show you a little bit of what's here. Got plenty of cargo space, plenty of space for rear seat passengers here. It is very comfortable, in fact. And of course you've got climate control back here in the rear. As you can see, you even have the ability to use heated seats here in the rear as well, although we definitely do not need that today. And let's see here if I can get down here and show you a little bit of a shot of the available connectivity before we hop into the real business area. And by the way, there is a sunroof still here, the panoramic sunroof. I'll give you a better view of that from a different angle, but if you're wondering, is there still a panoramic sunroof available? The answer is yes. Okay, a quick look here at the dashboard. Kind of hard today to get a good glareless look. I don't know if I can do that or not, but have navigation up there right now. I like the fact that that is on the dashboard. And here is something interesting. This Volvo XC60 comes with a blinker right here. Actually, all vehicles do. But if you don't know how that works, just in case you're one of those people, see that arrow flashing to the right, and then when I push the lever into the down position, it flashes to the left. That indicates to drivers around you what you are doing, turning to the left or the right, or what you might be doing. Imagine the novelty of doing such things, letting people know what you're doing out on the road. Anyway, all kidding aside, gotta kid some of these videos, especially if you made it to this point. Here are your controls. I don't have to explain those, hopefully not, but if you do want to open that power rear lift gate from the driver's seat, well, there's how you do that. Your steering wheel mounted controls, and of course the main area of interest right here. Here is the infotainment system. Now you might wonder, do we still have the AC controls here on the screen or within the screen? And the answer is yes. So I think I'm gonna leave that on actually. I hope that error isn't bothering anybody. But here's the cool thing about it. You can actually talk to Google and ask questions like this. Hey Google, how much gas do I have left?
Your gas is running low, so consider filling up. You can still drive for about 29 miles.
And you can also ask a lot of other questions, including this. Hey Google, tell me a joke.
Why are stadiums so cool? Because they're full of fans.
Yeah, you probably heard that ba-da-pow with the drums in your head too. So anyway, look here at the shifter as well. Try and give you a good look at that. I know we've got the glare of the sun not helping us out too much, but pretty much the same layout and design here with the center console as what we've seen in the past. And we'll open up here to show you what all is there. You've got some of your connectivity, available connectivity. How much space is in here? I'm guessing if you folded your Vehicle Visionary t-shirts just right, you could fit, 4, maybe 5 in there. I don't know, you might be able to squeeze down 6. It's really hard to say for sure, but ultimately just a very tasteful vehicle, very enjoyable to sit in and to drive. And I do like the new technology. And by the way, while we're sitting here, let me make sure I do cover a couple of things here on the screen, including the backup camera, which you have right there. Nice clear view. And let's see here, you can also, you don't have to be in reverse to take advantage of that camera, so that's always a nice feature to have there. Okay, as we get out here for a quick test drive, the first thing that I have to say about the XC60 is the fact that it rides so well. The smooth ride quality really grabs my attention. And even though where we are right now, these roads are pretty smooth, but I just came off of an area where they're not so smooth. In fact, I like to say as I drive around most areas of Shreveport, Louisiana, here in Northwest Louisiana, well, I have my own personal test track for testing out suspension and shocks and ride quality. So overall, the ride quality here is excellent. And of course, you've got the driver's aid or driver aids. Let's put the S in the right place. Driver aids, such as lane keep assist and blind spot warning, all that good stuff that works so well. And I like the fact that here, if I can get a picture of it for you, somehow get a view of it. It's hard to do that because I don't have enough GoPros to go around really to be able to put something on an area such as the side view mirror. But I like the fact that the blind spot indicator is very large. You don't really have to look for it. You know when it comes on. That's a real positive for Volvo, I would say. Some vehicles, it's a very small, little, teeny, tiny icon. You almost have to get a magnifying glass out on some vehicles to see it in the side view mirror. Not so here. And the drivability, the steering quality, we'll say, is very good, very responsive. You've got a very nice, comfortable, leather-wrapped steering wheel. It just makes such a difference in feeling like you're just really in control. A lot of vehicles, you know, you just kind of have a little bit of play in the steering wheel, not so much here. And I'm not going to say that it's high performance like, but it sure isn't far from it. I just like the fact that everything is very responsive. And of course, like I said, you got that blind spot detection, but you really don't have a bad blind spot. If you're like me, and even though those driver aids are there, I still look over my right shoulder when I'm moving, changing lanes to the right, whatever I'm doing. That's a habit. I've been doing that for so long. I started driving in the early 1990s, so it's kind of hard to break that habit. But overall, everything here is so user-friendly. I love having Google Assistant here. Everything's just super easy to use. Even the heads-up display, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but there is a heads-up display here. So a lot of great conveniences, creature comforts, and just a fun vehicle to drive overall. The size of the XC60 sure makes it easy to get around. And the thing that I know a lot of people are gonna say, we gotta cover this real quick, is it's gonna be underpowered. Not so much. I mean, I can't really step on it too much in this area, but just easing onto the pedal to get up to speed, no problem. So definitely not underpowered in my opinion. And keep in mind, I'm a high performance enthusiast, a former and soon to be again race car driver. So if I tell you it's not underpowered, it probably isn't. And that is a tour. The 2022 version of the Volvo XC60. Tell me what you think. If you plan to pick one of these up, what exactly do you plan to buy? Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at Volvo Cars of Shreveport, and to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there. Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Did you see what I just did right there? There's a very specific reason why I did that. I wanted you to see the window sticker on this very HRV to see that it is indeed a 2022 model. And there's likely to be somebody down in the comments section who says, "That's not a 2022 HRV." And I guess I can understand why they might say that, because obviously the HRV did receive a redesign for 2022. Well, that is with the exception of the United States market. Honda says there is going to be a US version, kind of a specific to the US version, I should say, that will be debuted as the 2023 model. What is that going to be like compared to what we currently see in other countries? Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. But while I'm here at Holmes Honda today, we're going to take a look at this 2022 version, and there's likely to be some people who maybe are happy that the changes didn't take place in our market here in the US. Tell me down in the comments what you think. The exterior color on this model is Aegean blue. Honestly, that is one of my favorite Honda colors. You do have the auto on-off headlights and the fog lights on the lower portion of the bumper right there. I don't have those on right now, as you can see, but the one common question that I get a lot if I don't talk about it is going to be answered right here. Does it have turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors? As you can see, yes it does on the EX trim level. The wheel size is 17 inches, and if you're looking for an engine that may not be super powerful, but still going to get the job done, it's the 1.8 liter four-cylinder that's under the hood of this model. It's making 141 horsepower, and for some people are going to say that's not enough. Some of those people might not remember days when cars were not making a ton of horsepower. In fact, even Corvettes back in the mid to late 80s were not even making 300, I think even less than 200 horsepower. So 141 horsepower, not that bad. Hill start assist if you need it. But the big thing is the gas mileage. 28 miles per gallon city, 34 out on the highway, and a combined total, according to Honda, of 30 miles. It's mated to a CVT, continuously variable transmission, or what is called a shiftless transmission. And again, varying opinions on that. Tell me what you think about the CVT. Do you like it? Do you not? And tell me why. One exterior note that I want to mention here, you'll notice on the rear doors that the handle for opening the rear doors is right here on the top, kind of in the rear area, instead of down here on the lower portion of the door like it would normally be. And I think that gives the HR-V a little bit more of a clean look. And you will notice, of course, that the lines actually look pretty sporty here, which I would think that would be what you would expect on a smaller SUV like this. Of course, you're going to have the shark fin antenna and the rear roof spoiler. And by the way, that is functional. If you're wondering if that's just cosmetic, it's not. It's meant to actually channel air over this rear window, try and help keep that clean when you're driving down the road with all the dirt and debris that's stirred up and all that kind of stuff. But of course, if it gets dirty, you've got the rear window wiper right here if you need it. And we'll open the rear door here. That is, of course, dampened. Just looking around here in the rear cargo area, you can maximize that to 58.8 cubic feet in cargo. And I'm going to show you how to maximize that, at least on one side here. A little bit easier here with this angle with the GoPro. I'm going to let that seat down right there, and you can see, of course, you can do that on both sides and under the floor right here, which, by the way, you can kind of see how I folded that up. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not. Let's just give it a try and see. There we go. It goes this way. You can fold that up and out of the way, because underneath the tray right here is the spare tire. So good news for all of you who don't like those tire repair kits. The HR-V does indeed come with a spare tire. By the way, guys, if you're wondering about the insert, I actually had that out earlier, got that HR-V logo on there, but to keep the carpet clean back here, that's what you're going to find. I just had it out for demonstration purposes. And by the way, if you wanted to tow with your HR-V, how much can you tow? Well, the maximum amount, from what I can find, is 1,500 pounds. I don't think too many people are going to be towing with their HR-V, but if you need those numbers, now you have them. And we'll hop into the back seat real quick here, just to kind of show you what's there. Of course, the headrests are adjustable. You can raise and lower those depending on what your situation is. And just to kind of show what's back here, got the one map pocket on the rear of the passenger seat there, and I'll give you a look at the door bin right there. Gonna have that same size on both sides. And here on the rear of the console, no air conditioning vents. Don't know that that's necessary in an interior of this size, but you do have a 12-volt power outlet. You could buy an adapter. That way you'll have at least one USB port in the rear. There might be some out there that maybe have two built in, but at least you know what your options are. And a quick look through the passenger side door, just let you see what's here on the passenger side. Of course, you're going to have the glove box right here. We'll take a quick look inside there just to show you what's there. It's actually somewhat deep. And of course, you're going to have the pass-through there in the front of the console. Got some connectivity there, a couple of USB ports, and a 12-volt power outlet. And just a quick look at the seats before we hop in on the driver's side. And a quick look from the driver's side door here. All the typical features and functionality you would expect. All your controls for adjusting your power mirrors, door locks, power windows, all that kind of stuff. There's the button for Econ mode if you want to use that, traction control, all that good stuff. And underneath the steering wheel is a lever that allows you to adjust the steering wheel tilt and telescopically. I am looking forward to turning on the AC here. We're going to turn that down. And just a quick look here at the dashboard. As you can see, we've got steering wheel mounted controls, and right there, the least most used item in any vehicle in Northwest Louisiana. That's the turn signal. If you ever wondered how that worked and what it was for, well, it's more than just controlling the headlights. Now you know. Push that up to turn to the right or change lanes to the right, and also do the same thing in the down position to do everything to the left. For those who are curious about that, maybe your salesman at the dealership didn't tell you about it, now you know. There are your steering wheel mounted controls, just having a little fun there, even for those of you who really don't use your blinkers. Steering wheel mounted controls and the paddle shifters here if you want to feel as sporty as possible driving around with your 141 horsepower HR-V. And the infotainment screen, you can adjust the brightness here, as you can see, if you want to go brighter or less. Maybe at night it's a little bit too bright, you can change the setting there. And of course, everything that you would expect to find here. Let's see if I can do that one-handed. All of your features and functionalities, settings, you can pair your phone, all that good stuff. Very easy to use. And here is the panel for controlling the air conditioning vent, or the air conditioning, not just the vents. You can control those right here manually, actually. Button for the hazard lights, push button start, and the shifter right there. Tell me what you think. Would you rather have a shifter like this or the push button shifter that some of the other Honda models have? And right down here, power parking brake and brake hold mode. If you're ever in heavy traffic, that can come in very handy. Let me change my position here just a little bit. These are your drink holders, and you can see that you can actually push down on these areas right here and increase the size. You can also pull this centerpiece out if you want to increase that as well. And it's just super easy to show the sliding lid for the console right there. How many Vehicle Visionary t-shirts can you fit inside that console? Probably 3. I'm not really sure. As we hop out onto the road for a quick test drive, one thing I definitely have to say that is really good about the HR-V is that the ride quality is better than some of its competitors that I've driven in the past. Now, one thing I would like to be able to test out, but unfortunately don't have a really good location to do it, would be Hill Start Assist. Have you ever had an experience with Hill Start Assist with your HR-V? Tell me what your experience was down in the comments. But overall, I must say, everything's so easy to get to. You've got quite a few nice features and functionality here. One thing that's good is that it doesn't come with the auto stop start feature. And we're sitting here at a green light. Let's see if we can get this person to go. I don't know what we're waiting on here, but wow, apparently that person's favorite color is green. Why do I say that? Because they sat and stared at that green light until we almost missed the light entirely, and now we're doing 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. For those of you who like to hear my sarcastic comments, well, the SUV in front of us is giving us plenty of material to use. We're still not doing the speed limit yet. Anyway, I know I'm off subject there, but I just can't help but say something about it. So what's it like, even when you're sitting behind somebody who is completely inattentive, and let's see what's going to go on here, maybe turn with no blinker? The HR-V is still a great vehicle. I don't know if there's somebody in front of them. No, there isn't. Maybe they're looking for an address. That's got to be what it is. Oh, no blinker. What a surprise. Okay, aside from bad drivers, what is it like to drive the HR-V? Well, if you're looking for a vehicle that's nimble and easily maneuverable, well, this is something you might want to consider. And while some people are going to say that it's highly underpowered, you might have to drive it for yourself to find out. There are going to be varying opinions on that. And honestly, if it was that underpowered for the segment that it's built for, then obviously Honda wouldn't be able to sell it because there wouldn't be enough buyers in the market to justify building the vehicle. And one thing I must say I am impressed with here is how well it handles. The steering is nice and tight. I like the responsiveness of the brake and the gas pedal, and everything is just easy to get to. So if you're looking for an SUV that can get the job done with great gas mileage, definitely will get you around with no problem, and is just super easy to kind of zip around town in, well, the Honda HR-V is definitely something you should consider. And what exactly was it that this HR-V has that I believe all Hondas should have? It's Honda Lane Watch. And if you're not familiar with Honda Lane Watch, especially for those of you who don't use your blinkers, this is a good reason to do so. But all kidding aside, when you turn on the right-hand turn signal, you will notice on the infotainment screen that suddenly you see the right-hand side of the vehicle, or essentially the area of your blind spot. And there's a camera mounted on the passenger side mirror that allows this to take place. Unfortunately, this is something that Honda has phased out over the last few years, and while it has been phased out in favor of blind spot monitoring, it's still nice to occasionally find it on some vehicles. Tell me down in the comments, would you like to see it available on all Honda models? So tell me down in the comments section, what do you think about this particular version of the HR-V for 2022? I know from one previous video I did on this model, there were people that said, I'm glad that it didn't change in the US market. And of course, there's other people who are going to have varying opinions. Tell me what you think and why. And tell me what you would like to see Honda do with the HR-V for 2023 when that model comes out in the United States. Got to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this model for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that is on the screen right now, and I will see you there. Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today I'm at Holmes Honda, and this is the 2021 version of the Honda CR-V. This is the EXL trim level with an exterior color of Sonic Gray that we are going to take a look at. And I'll list all of the different trim levels on the screen of the CR-V so you'll know what those are and what their base prices are in case that's something you are interested in. I will also list the safety features, as there are quite a few, on the screen for you. And always check the description of the video because there is going to be a link to this very model on the Holmes Honda website if it's something you happen to be interested in. For 2021, there are no significant changes for the CR-V, but that's not a bad thing because that means it continues to ride well and actually handle very well also. For an SUV of its size, the handling characteristics are quite impressive. And even though the engine under the hood is not the most powerful you're going to find, it is a 1.5 liter turbocharged four-cylinder. We'll take a closer look at that and give the performance numbers in just a minute. It still has solid acceleration. The interior also has a lot of storage space, a lot of space in general, very comfortable and very roomy, and some quite creative storage spaces for driver and passenger. And as advertised, here is the 1.5 liter turbocharged four-cylinder. Makes 190 horsepower and 179 foot-pounds of torque. It's mated to a continuously variable transmission, or CVT, also known as a shiftless transmission. Not literally, but figuratively. It does obviously shift through gears. And of course, one of the other high points of the CR-V, and there are many, is the gas mileage. 28 miles per gallon estimated in the city and 34 out on the highway. And of course, there are going to be variables that determine how well you do on gas mileage, but that's what the estimated amount is from Honda. Just a quick look at the front end. You do have auto on-off headlights, LED fog lights located down there on the lower portion of the bumper, and of course the 18-inch alloy wheels all the way around. Here is the remote, which again, no changes for 2021, but that's not a bad thing. Lock, unlock. You have the button to automatically open the rear lift gate, a panic button, and remote start. Of course, you have the power side view mirrors that are manually foldable, and as you can see, do have the turn signal indicator built in. And just in the interest of fair reporting, if this is something you're interested in buying, and as you can see, you do just touch the door handle as long as you have the remote on your person, and you can lock and or unlock the interior. Here is the release for the gas door. So if you're used to just touching the gas door to open it, well, that's not going to work here. Just so you see what you've got. And of course, you do have capless fuel fill. And just in the interest of fair reporting, as I said, this is a power rear lift gate. We will use the button on the remote to open that. And I'll put all the numbers on the screen as far as towing and cargo space, all that good stuff. You do have a rear cargo cover here that is removable if you wish to take that out. Here's something that a lot of you are definitely going to like. You have a spare tire located under the floor. So no spare tire repair kit. That's always a good thing, I believe, with owners. And here on the right and left-hand side, you have the release for lowering these rear seats to maximize your cargo space. I'm not going to go all the way down right now because the seat belts are latched. But as you can see, those will fold flat and giving equal time to the front seat. As you can see, power seat for the passenger and of course for the driver as well. Taking a quick look into the glove box here. That is actually a pretty deep glove box. I don't know if you can tell how deep that is by just sticking my hand down there. And just a quick look at the interior as far as the front seats are concerned. Give you a quick look at the console from this point of view before we hop into the driver's seat. And of course, here is the driver's side where the real business end of things take place. Obviously, all the typical switches and buttons here. Also, seat memory, as you can see right there on the door. Like I said, you have a power driver's seat, and even though it's manually adjustable, the steering wheel is adjustable, tilt and telescopically. And here in the interior, again, no changes, but not necessarily a bad thing. EXL, of course, does have a push-button start, so we're going to start the engine up right there, let you see the instrument cluster graphics or the dashboard graphics, just so you can see what's there. I'm going to turn the fan speed down just a little bit. And of course, as you can see, you're going to have your steering wheel mounted controls, everything pretty simple and self-explanatory. Controls for the windshield wipers on the right, and of course the blinkers and headlight controls on the left. If you didn't know where the blinkers were, if you're one of those drivers that don't use your blinkers, when you push that down, the blinker comes on for the left-hand side, and up means for the right-hand side. That's right, folks. Some people drive as if they don't have a clue about that. A little bit of sarcasm there, just having some fun. And of course, Honda's infotainment screen, while it's been around for a while, it's very effective and very simple to use, very easy to use and learn, especially if you've never had this kind of technology in your vehicle before. And yes, there are plenty of people out there who have never had this kind of technology before. So here is Honda's infotainment screen. Very simple, very easy to use. A lot of features and functionality here. Quite simple, I must say. I mean, if you've never had this in a vehicle before, nothing to be afraid of. If you've learned how to use your cell phone, you can easily learn how to use this infotainment screen. And you do have dual zone climate control as well, and you can sync those together if you want to. Here are all the other controls for that, fan speed and all that kind of stuff. Pretty simple. Power parking brake. And there is brake hold right there. If you're in heavy traffic and you don't want to keep having to put the transmission in and out of drive, that is what brake hold mode is for. You come to a complete stop, take your foot off the brake pedal, the vehicle stays in place until you push the brake pedal again or the gas pedal. Econ mode if you want to use that. And of course, when you're in econ mode, that's what the dashboard is going to display, just so you can know what you have there. And here is the shifter, pretty simple and self-explanatory really for this model of vehicle. And of course, as you would expect, backup camera right there. And as you can see, you can also go into sport mode if you wish to drive a little bit on the spiritedly side maybe, and take advantage of the great handling characteristics that I mentioned earlier of this CR-V. And of course, you've got some storage space right here, mainly for your phone, 2 more USB ports right there. And of course, if you want to use the top of the console as an armrest, that is adjustable. And there is the space you have within. And as you can see down there, if you need it, let me see if I can get down there and show you, there is a 12-volt power outlet that, again, you can buy an adapter for that if you wish to, and turn that into a USB as well. All right, let's head out for our test drive here in the CR-V. And one thing I automatically notice, if this goes back to the subject I was talking about, the infotainment screen, and people who maybe haven't purchased a new vehicle in quite a long time, don't be afraid of that technology, like I said. But again, something else that goes back to if you haven't purchased a new vehicle in quite a long time, if you're used to an older front-wheel drive vehicle, you don't get all the feedback that you did with those old front-wheel drive vehicles when you were driving them around. If you stepped on the gas when you were going into a corner or turning out of a parking lot or something like that at the wrong time, and maybe gave it too much gas, sometimes those cars would feel like you were going to lose control of them. It was quite an interesting experience. If you haven't had that experience, you have no idea. But coming up to this corner up here, the handling characteristics are about to be tested of the CR-V. And I must say, I've been impressed so far. This is not my first experience in a CR-V, but to go through a corner like this, doing almost 60 miles an hour. In fact, I feel good. I can accelerate out of the corner here, and even though there's not a lot of power to do that with, you can definitely hear that little engine working, the CVT transmission doing its thing. But I have to admit, I really like the handling characteristics of this CR-V. And while it's by no means meant to be a high-performance vehicle, it sure is fun to drive. And it's very, very practical. That's why it's so popular, obviously. It's practical, it's reliable, and it has good solid technology. The steering wheel itself, comfortable. Of course, you've got quite a few nice features. Basic creature comfort, some good solid technology, and obviously one of the greatest traits with the 1.5 liter four-cylinder under the hood is you're going to get solid gas mileage. And obviously there are a lot of variables that go into what those numbers ultimately are going to be from one situation to the next, but good nonetheless. And really, in this day and age, at the price point where this CR-V EXL falls, it's also pretty good. And overall, just a great vehicle. High marks, obviously. Reliable, fun to drive, gonna get the job done. If you need to haul a decent amount of whatever in the cargo area, there's quite a bit of space back there, and like I showed you, you can fold down those rear seats to maximize that cargo space. Overall, just a great vehicle. Even has a sunroof, and like I said, maybe we'll be seeing a panoramic sunroof at some point in the future. One thing I want your feedback on, guys who watch me regularly, I'm trying something different with the GoPro as far as the camera angle goes, because I have an adapter that allows me to use my wireless microphone for better audio quality, so I can move the camera around a few different places, and I put it in what seemed to be the best spot, hopefully, for this test drive, mounting it to the sunroof in this particular model. If it was a panoramic sunroof, I probably would have put it back a little bit further maybe, but tell me what you think, give me your feedback. I gotta say thanks to my friends at Holmes Honda for loaning me this CR-V for the day, and all of you who are kind enough to take the time to watch and support the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel. Make sure to check out the link down in the description of the video for merchandise, t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. That helps me to keep making these videos, and I really appreciate everything each and every one of you do for me. Make sure to tell me what you want to see me feature. If I can get my hands on it, I will definitely do that, whether it's a tutorial or a full-blown tour of a vehicle with a test drive like we normally do. Sometimes it's a little harder to get my hands on some vehicles, depending on how out of the ordinary or unique they may be, but I'll always do my best, and we'll see what we can do in the future with vehicles maybe outside of the Northwest Louisiana area. And depending on what's available, I'll see what I can do for you. I appreciate all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today we're going to do a quick tour and test drive of the 2021 Land Rover Range Rover Evoque. And we'll take a look at what's new, even though you're not going to see that on the outside, as what's new is on the interior. We'll take a look at that shortly. I will list the safety features on the screen that you can expect with this model, at least what I can fit in my graphic. That way you don't have too much to read. Don't want to overload you with information, but of course, if you want to know more about this Evoque, check out the link down in the description of the video to the Land Rover of Shreveport website where I borrowed this model from. And we'll just take a quick look here, just so I can show you what is new as far as 2021 is concerned. And like I say, we'll take a closer look at it, and I apologize for the chime, but I have the engine running so that you can see the headlights on. But here's one thing that's new. It is going to be the steering wheel as well as the infotainment system. If you're familiar with the newest generation of the Land Rover Defender, and you're going to recognize where those changes came from. And you do have the premium LED headlights with the signature daytime running lights, just to show you what all is there. And just taking a quick look here at everything, don't mean to blind you with the lights there. There are some of the sensors on the front end, sensors all around the vehicle. And you also have a great surround view camera system. You can see from multiple angles and zoom in, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute when we take a look at the interior. as well as all of the other great features that are found there, some that are new, some that are not. And here under the hood, you will find the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It puts out 246 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque. The gas mileage is estimated at 20 miles per gallon in the city and 27 out on the highway. It's mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and this model is all-wheel drive. And if you're wanting to know, those are 20-inch rims. And here's a quick look at the remote if you're wanting to know what an Evoque remote looks like. No changes in that area for 2021, but you do have the power side view mirrors that do fold in when you lock the vehicle, and that sound you just heard is not actually the horn, it actually is the alarm setting, just a chime that lets you know. Kind of sounds like a horn from a Volkswagen or something like that. And when you walk up to the vehicle and unlock it, you're going to find the door handles will be presented to you, and I know you probably can't see that very well, but you have the Land Rover logo down there, or at least a silhouette of a Land Rover, we'll say. A little bit hard to see on the floor in here, but not as hard as it would be if we were outside. Now, just to prove to you that this horn does not sound like that of a Volkswagen, there you go. There is the sound of the horn with the Evoque. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice, this does have a very nice look to it. A very nice subcompact luxury crossover SUV. That is what this is listed as being. But one thing you're going to notice here, see how the roofline tapers down? Well, we'll take a look at something that is going to be very helpful if you're not already aware of it, that's actually found right here on the little fin on the top of the vehicle. And as I open the rear lift gate, the power rear lift gate on the Evoque, I will list the cargo space on the screen. Now, let me change our position here. I know a lot of people are not big fans of the tire repair kits. While I can't get the floor all the way up to show you the full spare tire, there is your spare tire and the tools that are needed to change that in the event that you ever needed to. And as we begin to work our way into the interior, first thing I want to show you right here, if it's something you aren't familiar with, on all 4 doors, you're going to see this. That is the clear exit monitor. That way, if you're hopping out of the back seat, before you open the door, that basically is a warning to check around the vehicle, make sure there's no pedestrians, cyclists, other vehicles coming, so you don't open this door out into the path of something that could damage the vehicle, it could hurt somebody, whatever the case may be. Just a nice little safety feature there. And as far as lowering these seats, there is a release right here on the top of the seat. You can let that down and get the seat belt out of the way. And that's how you're going to maximize your cargo space. But if you would like to lower the center area only, there's a button on the top. Let's see if I can find that here. There we go. That you can lower that down as a pass-through if that's something you wish to use. If you have the need of just putting something through the middle right there, a pair of skis or whatever you may be doing, that definitely helps out. And as you can see, of course, there is the fold-down armrest, cup holders, all that good stuff. You do have your dual air conditioning vents back here. You also have heated seats in the rear. Heated only, not cooled. And just a quick look here on the passenger side at the front seat. You do have power seats, you have the massage function, and you can actually adjust 3 different settings, and I'll show you how to do that as far as how aggressive that massage function is. And it's going to be on the rear, on the seat back here is where you're going to have it. You'll actually have it on the seat cushion itself down here that you sit on. Not a bad thing, but they are also heated and cooled, so that is always a nice feature. And you have kind of a little pass-through here in the center right there, as you can see. And within that area is where you will find wireless charging for your cell phone. Okay, just kind of to give a quick look at what you have here. Of course, seat memory right here, as you can see. And all the buttons and switches and everything you would expect. You have power seats, not only for the driver, but the passenger also. And let me just go ahead and give you a real kind of first-person view here. Here is the button for starting the engine. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let everything start up, let you see the instrument cluster graphics. And everything that we have here as far as the infotainment screen, you do have the upper and lower screens. The screens are basically the same as what we've seen in previous years with the Evoque as far as 2020 went, but you're going to notice that the overall system itself has changed, like I said, to that of the same system that is found in the Land Rover Defender. Just a quick look here at the features and functionality that you have here on the steering wheel mounted controls and paddle shifters here if you wish to use that in dynamic mode. And speaking of that, let's just take a quick look here at the different driving modes that you have as far as the Evoque goes. I'll just run through these real quick and notice how quickly that comes up. One of the things I know that people talked about in the past was that the screen was a little bit laggy. You don't have that here. This is actually a great improvement. I think that Land Rover has done a spectacular job. Of course, there is dynamic mode if you want to use that. Multiple modes for driving your Evoque. Now, here is how you're going to turn on the massage function. And like I said, you have multiple settings. Actually, it goes all the way up to 5. And if 5 is too aggressive, you can find your way down on the dial here as far as what you want. If you want to turn that completely off, it can go to 0 right there. I'm going to turn that off. And also, let's hit that button right there. It's not because it's lagging, it's just my not touching the screen hard enough. But you also have heated and cooled seats, as you can see. You've got heated right there. You can scroll or dial your way over. I should say that's really not scrolling, is it? To the cooled seats. Not really something I need today so much. Don't really need heated either. It's just one of those kinds of days. And when it comes to AC, pretty much the same thing as what we've seen in the past for the most part. A little bit of a different design, but it still works the same way. There is the selection for fan speed, and you're going to use the dial on the right hand side for that if you want to. Pretty easy to figure out, pretty easy to use. But I do want to show you a few features here, especially with the cameras, and that's what we're going to really focus on here, because that is a change. If I can get that to work again, that's really more my finger not touching the screen well enough or hard enough. But if you want to actually change your view here, maybe zoom in on an area of the vehicle, that's how you're going to do it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's not that hard to use. Pretty simple and really nice. And I like the fact that not only can you see it from this angle right here, but over on the left hand side of the screen, you can change the view to whatever you want to see. If you want to zoom in on something, that's how you're going to do that, whether it's in the front or in the rear. And if you notice the screen kind of blinking just a little bit, well, that's because I'm using a GoPro. That is just a shutter speed issue that I don't know how to fix that on a GoPro. If somebody does, tell me down in the comments. But that doesn't mean that there is a problem with the screen. And of course, you can go in and adjust this. A lot of the same features and functionality from the previous generation. But just to show you what all is here as far as your different settings go, you've got your eco data right here just to show you what's there as far as the different information that you can take a look at. Pretty simple system to use though. If this is new and you're saying, wow, I don't know if I can get used to that because I just got used to my previous year of the Evoque, whatever that may have been, pretty simple, pretty easy to figure out. What I call the hunt and peck method. If you understand what I'm saying, you just kind of hunt and peck your way around and figure out where the things are that you want to look at and use. Now, let me show you another nice feature here, something that I like a lot. See if I can get the right angle here. Now, as you can see behind us, there is the rear view mirror. Now, depending on your height, with the rear view mirror as it is currently set, it might be a little challenging to see out of that rear view mirror or out of the rear window, especially if you have to adjust the height as high as I do at 5'10". But that camera that I showed you with the shark fin on the top of the rear of the vehicle, that is the camera view that you're going to have, the clear sight rear view mirror that we've seen in other models. But just so you know what's here and how that works, and you can make adjustments to brightness and where it's actually looking on this side right here on the right. So if you want to change the brightness right there is how you do that. and then we can change the angle as well, just so you see what's there. Very, very nice. And just taking a quick look here at the dashboard, everything's pretty easy to figure out. A lot of nice features. You got your digital and analog speedometer. And of course, when you go into gear, you're going to see that change on the dashboard as well. Just nice, simple things, nothing really new in that respect. Traffic sign recognition, as you can see there on the speedometer side, right under the digital speedometer. But just a lot of really nice features here. But one thing I really like about the Evoque is that it rides and drives really well. Let's get on the road and show you exactly how that works. All right, we're gonna hop out on the road here, and I'm starting off in comfort mode for a very specific reason. This is one of the worst roads in the Shreveport area. And I'll tell you what, even though you can hear the Evoque driving over the bumps and everything, I can feel the vibration of the vehicle just a little bit, but it's not bad. It's actually very comfortable. Not a big deal. It's soaking up the bumps quite well. Now, to reduce some of our road noise that we're dealing with here, let me hop over into the left-hand lane where it's smoother, not perfect, but smoother. We'll be on paved road here shortly on some asphalt. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to make sure I made note of during the test drive here that I didn't mention earlier in the video. Of course, you do have a heads-up display here. That is always nice. With the instrument cluster, I do have the map up for navigation, just so you can see where you're going. Just hopefully you can see some of this stuff from your view with the GoPro there mounted on the panoramic sunroof. But as far as within the screen here, you can see the dimensions of the vehicle. So if you need to know what you can drive on as far as any off-roading goes, and I know there's not a major off-roading vehicle, but it does have off-road capabilities. And obviously multiple terrains with the different settings for driving modes and all of that good stuff that you have here. But you also have the ability to see how much you can drive through as far as water goes, whether you're off-roading or maybe you're in a situation where you have flooding in your area. I know down here in the Shreveport, Louisiana area, we run into that quite a bit in certain areas of the city. And what will happen is you can see if it's something you can drive through or not, if the vehicle is high enough to make it through. So a very nice feature, just some very nice conveniences. And you know, back there when we were on the not so smooth portion of this road, I am very impressed at the overall ride quality of the Evoque. Typically a subcompact, even though this is a luxury SUV, a lot of subcompact models, shorter wheelbase, not going to ride very well. That's not the case here. I like how Land Rover has designed this model to ride very, very well. Now, I was in comfort mode, not in dynamic, which typically I do drive in the most aggressive driving mode possible, depending on what the vehicle has available. But today I decided to at least start off in a lesser mode. Steering wheel nice and comfortable. You do have a leather wrapped steering wheel, and it is very enjoyable to drive overall. And as far as seeing out of the vehicle, you know, other than the challenges with the rear window that I mentioned earlier, that the clear sight rear view mirror basically eliminates, well, it's pretty easy to see out of. The windows are big enough to see out of well. You know, it's not a full-size SUV, so you're not going to have as large of a window, but still not too terribly bad. Handling is good. That is one of the biggest advantages of a shorter wheelbase subcompact SUV. Now, I have moved over into dynamic mode just so that we can have a little bit of an experience as to how well this model gets down the road. And even though 246 horsepower is not a lot of horsepower, if you want to accelerate into fast moving traffic, or maybe you're on a road similar to what I'm driving on right now, and you have slower moving traffic in front of you. If you had somebody in front of you, it's too bad I don't have a literal example to give you right now, but if you wanted to accelerate around somebody on a road like this, this would be a great place to do it. And overall handling, well, here's where we like to test that. So I'm going to go into the corner here, accelerate out of the corner, easing into the gas pedal. A little bit of a body roll, drifted just a little bit. You know, I have to say the Evoque isn't really made for that kind of thing, but for the interest of fair reporting within the test drive, well, at least there you go. You know what you have. Now, part of that might be that I'm not used to driving this Evoque. And of course, just the overall comfort level of the seats is high. It's a Land Rover. You're typically going to expect that with the Land Rover brand, and the Evoque does not let you down. So overall, my marks are definitely high for the 2021 Evoque. The changes are very good. Even though there's not a lot of changes, the changes that have been made are phenomenal. I like the new infotainment system, even though we've seen it before, like I said earlier. Like the new steering wheel. Everything is very nice here. Of course, the new camera system that we looked at earlier makes a big difference. So I gotta say thank you to my friends at Land Rover of Shreveport for loaning me this model for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch. As always, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks for taking the time to watch, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today I've borrowed this 2022 version of the Chevrolet Trailblazer from my friends at Red River Chevrolet. This is the RS trim level, and I'll list all of the trim levels on the screen and their base prices for you so you can know where they start. And of course, if you want to know more about this particular model, make sure to check out the link down in the description of this video. As long as it's an inventory at Red River Chevrolet, you can check that out to cover some of the features we don't talk about today to keep the video from being too terribly long. This is only the second generation of the Trailblazer, and for 2022, here's what's new. You'll find satellite radio is now standard on all trim levels. There is an available trailering package, and the base L trim level is no longer available. You will find that the Trailblazer offers the latest technology and safety features. There is an active model that brings some light off-roading capabilities, and that is something we're going to take a look at in a future video. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so that you know when that episode comes out. And out of the multiple colors that are available for the exterior of these 22 Trailblazers, this is crimson metallic on this particular model, but if you plan on buying one, tell me what color you would prefer. It also has jet black interior with red accents, but around the air conditioning vents, you'll find that also on the shifter and a few other places throughout the interior. Of course, this being the RS or Rally Sport trim level, you would expect it to have a rather sporty look. And of course, LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, you're gonna find LED tail lights. And since people always ask me, are there turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors? Not on the RS trim level, although these of course are power heated side view mirrors. Kind of hard to believe anything needs to be heated right now, although it is a rather cool 79 degrees here in Northwest Louisiana today. It's cooled down a little bit, not a whole lot. As we look at the overall exterior design, of course, you're going to find that Chevrolet badge up here, the upper and lower grills that really bring a nice balance to the front end. A very nice look. 18-inch high gloss wheels here that fit this trim level very well. As you can see, we'll just take a quick look at the exterior. And when you compare this to, say, the Ford EcoSport, you've got the 1.3 liter engine under the hood with a CVT transmission. And one thing that I found very interesting as I drove from the dealership over here to my filming location, this is probably one of the best made CVTs that I've experienced. It didn't have some of those typical nuisances that you often deal with the CVT transmission, to the point that I honestly forgot that's what this model has. That's good news. Good job, Chevrolet. Now under the hood here is the 1.3 liter turbocharged engine, and a lot of people are going to say it's underpowered. The horsepower to weight ratio is really not that bad, so depending on where you drive, it's going to get the job done. It gets up to speed well. I haven't had any problems, and being a high performance enthusiast, for me to say it's not bad, that says a lot. So you might say, well, Tom, tell us what those numbers are. 155 horsepower, 174 pound-feet of torque, and like I said, you've got that continuously variable transmission, or what's called a shiftless transmission. You really have to experience this one to understand when I say that it just behaves better than any other I've experienced before. Here's the biggest advantage, in my personal opinion, to having something like this under the hood of your Trailblazer. Gas mileage, 29 miles per gallon estimated city, 33 out on the highway. According to Chevrolet, when you combine those together, it's going to be 31 miles per gallon altogether. So if you already have your hands on one of these 22 models of the Trailblazer with this same engine under the hood, tell me down in the comments, what gas mileage are you currently getting? Now, there really isn't a whole lot I can do to compare generations, obviously, being that this is the second generation of the Trailblazer. But I must say, the original Trailblazer that debuted as the first generation was a little more boxy. I really like the look here, even though it's a little bit smaller model, but still has a nice kind of sporty look to it, something you would obviously expect with the RS, or if you didn't know, Rally Sport trim level. But I like the combination of the crimson and the black here that you have on the roof, and of course that's going to be white when we take a look at the Active. I think that looks even better, just I don't know, just grabs more attention that way. And of course you're going to have the same color here, the black on the mirrors. Passive entry right here when you have the remote on your person. Walk up and just hit that button and it locks and or unlocks the interior. Of course, taking a look at the remote on the screen, everything you would likely expect to see there, including remote start, something that I think is a very nice feature, especially when it comes to getting started first thing in the morning. You can let the vehicle warm up, or maybe I should say cool off during this time of the year, because it is rather warm. Another advantage here when we talk about comparison between the Trailblazer and the EcoSport is going to be found back here with the rear cargo area. Let's take a look. And before we actually take a look in the interior of the cargo area, of course, you've got that rear roof spoiler. It's going to help to keep that rear window clean as you're driving down the road, channeling the air over the window so it's not blowing dirt and dust and debris down here onto this rear glass. But when you do need to clean that, of course, you've got the rear wiper right there. Dual exhaust as well, and I mentioned the LED taillights, just kind of a tasteful design overall. The RS badge right here on the bottom right hand corner. And while this is not a power rear lift gate, it practically is, because it's just so easy to open. Once it kind of gets going, it's dampened, it's just going to go ahead and just go all the way up. You can maximize your cargo space back here by lowering these rear seats. Of course, they're going to lay nice and flat, give you plenty of space. But you also have a floor that has multiple positions. Depending on your situation, whatever your desires are, of course, you can change that into a couple of different places height-wise. And one thing that I think a lot of people are going to be in favor of here. What do you have under the floor? Well, it's not a tire repair kit. So many of you tell me how against those tire repair kits you are, and I don't blame you for that, because obviously, well, there's going to be situations where you potentially cannot repair a hole in a tire depending on how big it is. In this particular case, you don't have to worry about that, because you have a spare tire right here under the floor, along with all of the tires. All of the tools. Let's get that right. Started just putting the bloopers in just for the fun of it. All of the tools you need. Not the tires you need to change the tire, but the tools you need to change the tire.
Along with all the tires.
And a couple of points of interest about the rear seat area. Of course, you've got connectivity here with the 120 volt power outlet. Quite a few uses there, a multitasker, and USB connectivity as well. But a big advantage to that CVT, if there is somebody sitting here in the middle seat of the rear seat area, as you'll notice, there's no transmission tunnel that's kind of protruding up and making it a little bit less comfortable for the middle seat passenger here, that, I think, is a benefit. And how about here in the front seat? Well, the driver and passenger seats are nice and comfortable. Leather-wrapped steering wheel. It is adjustable, tilt and telescopically, not power. It is manually adjustable, but still that functionality is there. And I'll give you a look at the instrument cluster and just the overall look of the front seat here as far as the different materials and everything. Everything seems to be really quite well done here. Doesn't seem as cheap as some of what I've seen in other vehicles. More connectivity, all the controls for the air conditioning. It is single zone. You don't have dual zone climate control here. But in an interior of this size, I don't think that's really needed. But one thing that I have to say is very high on my list of any vehicles is something you'll find here. You do have the auto stop start feature. However, when you turn it off, it stays off. If you want to use it, it's going to stay on, but often it's the other way around, where you have to turn it off every single time you hop into the vehicle if you so desire to do so. Not here. I think that's a plus. And as far as the infotainment screen goes, of course, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. For you parents with teenage drivers, you've got teen driver mode. Very easy to use. You just put in the code, all that good stuff. And the good thing about that, there's a lot of different features and functionality that offers, including the fact that the vehicle will not go into gear in teen driver mode until the driver's seat belt is on. And just a quick look around everything else, some of the different buttons and options. You can turn things on and off here. You also have wireless charging. And by the way, speaking of wireless, another big advantage, you do not need a USB cable for any functionality for your cell phone here. It's all wirelessly controlled through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, even connecting to that through Bluetooth. Very simple, very seamless, very easy to use. And then of course you've got your multitasking lid, as I like to call it, for the console. When you open that up, there is a tray inside here that you can remove. A little bit more space underneath that. So if you want to buy and store a few Vehicle Visionary t-shirts, I'd say about 3 to 5 are definitely going to fit. All right, we're going to hop out on the road for our test drive and see exactly what driving the Trailblazer is like. Think about it. You ease into the pedal. It's the best way to manage a smaller turbocharged engine. I am having absolutely no problem getting up to speed here. The speed limit on this road is 55 miles per hour. No problem, really. That's one thing about it. Just my racing background and my automotive background in general, that is a good tip, because if you just floor it, well, it doesn't quite respond the same way, at least not on this particular motor. There's some out there that actually have a way to pretty much alleviate what's known as turbo lag. So just a little tip if this is something you're interested in buying. Now, what about the overall ride quality? Obviously, that's very important. Comparing again to the Ford EcoSport, this Trailblazer rides so much better than the EcoSports I've driven in the past. And you know, I'm not trying to put the EcoSport down, but it just is what it is. And it's not unusual. You have a shorter wheelbase vehicle. They have big advantages as far as maneuverability and just being able to get around without a problem. But when it comes down to ride quality, well, sometimes that shorter wheelbase, well, you have to sacrifice a little bit. Not so much here. In fact, that was the very first thing I noticed last year when I did a 21 model of the Trailblazer. So driving down the road, nice and comfortable. The steering wheel is good and comfortable. You're right. The thing I'm noticing here, I really like the fact that you don't have a lot of play in the steering wheel. It's not sports car like, but I've driven a lot of other smaller SUVs and really just a lot of vehicles in general that have a good bit of play in the steering. You don't have really a lot here, just a tiny bit, but still very manageable, easy to drive, and overall everything just seems to function very well overall, no matter what the situation is that you may find yourself driving in. And like I say, you've got front wheel drive, you've got all-wheel drive. Those are your options. So tell me down in the comments section, what do you think of the 22 model of the Chevrolet Trailblazer? And just because you never know who's reading the comments, what would you like to see added to future editions of the Chevrolet Trailblazer? If you're planning on buying one, tell me what color, trim level, all that good stuff. Special thanks to my friends at Red River Chevrolet for loaning me this model for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that is on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.